Thank you, Katarina. Do you know how many Tesla cars it takes to manage the energy from one single wind turbine for 1 hour? That question I got from a colleague in the industry operating a wind farm. 100, Thomas. 100 Tesla cars for 1 single hour. That's the reason why batteries is not an option for me. But what you're talking about, large-scale pumped hydro, is something I'm really interested in. As you heard, my name is Thomas Johansson. I'm the CEO of Pumped Hydro Storage. Prior to this, I have 26 years with ABB.
You're a little bit too modest now, Thomas. What you probably didn't know is that Thomas has built world's largest battery in Fairbanks, Alaska.
Well, Rainer, that's years ago. Come on, who are you?
I'm Rainer Vassanoja, Commercial Director at Pumped Hydro, working with Thomas as his right hand and left. I'm an old guy, so about 20 years of experience from business development and facilitating direct investments in renewables, energy technology.
And completely outside the script, I have to mention, this guy is European champion in American football. So don't mess with us. Okay, back to business. Do you want to be part of the fundamental change in the energy transition? Because that's what we're talking about from pumped hydro storage. And you say, pumped hydro, that's been around for decades. What's new with that? Well, for one thing, that's what we're going to talk about. But to start with, already today, energy storage in the world consists of 95% pumped hydro. So, what's the fuss today? I think there's a lot of open doors being laid this afternoon, given by a lot of the presenters before me. And I think my friend and former colleague, Kalle Linnér from Saltex, give a good example of how energy storage will be completely essential in the future. So the transition into electrification of transportation and industry, together with the renewables trend and rapid change in production, those things are coming, that's for sure. And those things are really going to help us with the climate challenge. But from an electrical system point of view, this is a little bit of a challenge. Let me explain. Production and consumption of electrical energy needs to happen at the same instant all the time. If not, the system is really disturbed and in the worst case could actually collapse. But don't worry, this is typically managed, but as trends in renewables and electrification grow, this will become more of a problem. And the solution is storage. Simply to store energy and to release it when it's needed, to make sure that the electrical system is stable. Today, this is under the responsibility of Svenska Kraftnät, as an example here in Sweden. And this managed 24/7. And they buy these services on what's called a balancing market every day. But as mentioned, these trends will really push the need for energy storage. So, as several speakers before me have said, this is really a booming market in the future. And someone in the pause told me, sky is the limit is not a good example. But in this case, it is actually true. And looking at these curves, please remember, already today, 95% of all energy storage in the world consists of pumped hydro. Okay, you say, what about new technologies? We shouldn't forget Kalle and Saltex and all the others. So Rainer, what's the situation there?
Well, there are two main drivers or two main factors. what makes and distinguishes pumped hydro storage from other technologies. The first one is the maturity of the technology, because, well, pumps, generators, turbines, they've been around for a long time, for decades. You probably know when the first pumps came out on the market. And the other thing is that it's very cost efficient, and that's related to scale. It's large-scale fast response solution, and that drives down the price per kilowatt hour. If we look at the concept, how it works, it's really simple. You're having elevation, you're having water, you're having a market. You're pumping up water when the electricity price is down, or when you want to downregulate the frequency on the grid. Then you release it again when you want to sell electricity on the market or upregulate, okay? The beauty of this, Thomas, is the facility. Many of you know that this isn't new technology, but we put it in an underground setting in a facility that already exists there, making it even more cost efficient than traditional pumped hydro. It has a high round efficiency of about 77%. A long life cycle, we're talking about 50 to 80 years. So let's say 60 years it can work. It has a really low operation maintenance cost. And the most beautiful thing is that it's invisible. You don't see it. It's put in a place with infrastructure underground, using the elevation to be balancing power. In that setting, it's a closed system, and we don't need environmental permissions for it. It doesn't affect streams, ecosystems, the same way as traditional hydro, for instance. I'm a fly fisherman, so I'm looking a lot on the impact on the environment. But really, underground mines, have you ever seen a mine before? Have you?
Hands up, have you ever been to a mine? Yeah, a few of you.
They're beautiful.
Here's one. Do you see the mine? This is actually a photo from our pilot project on Åland, on the island of Lilla Båtskär. So if you've ever taken the ferry to Åland, you've actually seen this mine. And the only thing that's visible is the mine tower just behind the first turbine there. Below there is a shaft of 250 meters depth, and then there's a drift of about 1,600 meters. And that's where we're going to test this and demonstrate this project and this concept. So we're going to simply fill that drift with water and then use the elevation and pump water up and let it down. This is a way not only to demonstrate the concept, but also to integrate together with the wind park and also connect to the network. We have a number of applications for grants right now into both European and national authorities, and I have to say it looks really promising. But remember, this is still small scale. We're talking about a test facility of 2 megawatt, 8 megawatt hour. So we need to do more. This is another picture of a mine. This mine is still in operation. This is in the middle of Finland, in the town of Pyhäjärvi. And this mine occupies about 250 people, but they are closing down the summer of 2021. Also in this case, we have an agreement on a pilot project, but what differentiates this site from the previous one is that in this site, our partner has employed Pöyry, or today AFRY, a consultant company, to explore the possibilities and the feasibility of a full-scale 50-plus megawatt installation. So what we have in our agreement is an option to eventually turn this into a full-scale commercial energy storage system. And this one has a depth of over 1,400 meters. Here you see some of the preliminary data of this facility. But as I mentioned, the work so far has been primarily on the technical side and the feasibility side. And we are right now employing Sweco Energy Markets to perform a revenue assessment of the opportunities with this mine. Well, 1,400 meters, Rainer. That sounds scary, or?
It's not scary. Here you see two happy guys, and why are we happy? Well, we went down there. Actually, you can take the elevator through the shaft. It takes about 3 minutes to get down to the bottom of the mine. What we saw there was, it was an environment like any industrial plant. You have the infrastructure there. You have the safety knowledge there. You have the ventilation there. You have the Wi-Fi there. You have a restaurant there. You even have the world's deepest sauna there.
Of course, we're in Finland, huh? Okay, as a company, we are a product development company. So very similar to, for example, Eulus, which presented earlier here. We are developing projects and take them into operation. This means that we're not depending on any own equipment or any manufacturing, but we can utilize the market of proven and modern equipment when we build these facilities. The steps you see in a product development company are very common, regardless of exactly which industry we're in. But the first stage for us is very much about screening. What mines around the world could be the right ones for us? What markets, when it comes to energy trading and balancing, are the right ones for us?
Questions, Thomas.
Yeah.
How many mines are there, abandoned mines in the world?
You remember we started counting and we lost counting at how many hundred thousands of mines? So it's
at least half 500 million.
Yeah.
500,000, sorry, not 500 million.
So it's at least enough for us to keep ourselves busy.
Yeah.
The second step is the most important, I would say. That's when we put together the business case. Because like some others have said here, it's great to be part of something that really changed the world and can save the world, but it also has to be profitable. And that's what we take care of in the second step. We see that the revenue streams are sufficient and that the investment can be made. We find the partners, which can be local typically, so that we have the partner in the ecosystem that is needed to actually make a project come true. And when we have that and we come into a financial solution and financial close, that's when we can push the button and start the construction work. And after that, the operation. And if we desire, we can also have a transfer of this asset. Is it still complicated, or? Nobody says yes. So, but for those who didn't dare to say yes, where does the money come from? That's always what's important for you as an investor. And trying to simplify that, there's two parts when we are in the operation mode. The common part is the spot market, basically to buy electricity cheap and sell it when it's a higher price. And that arbitrage is something we can make money on. But the other one, the other market that's not as common, is called the frequency market or the balancing market, which I mentioned in the beginning, for example, handled by Svenska Kraftnät in Sweden. You can actually provide services without losing the energy on an hourly base. So those two main revenue streams are available for an energy storage. And if we decide to sell the asset, of course, that's an additional opportunity for us as a company. Well, who will do all of this?
You tell us.
I'll tell you. is the two of us, but not only. Mikael, where are you? Our own expert in the electricity market and energy trading. But I think even more important is that what our founders put together, Otto Werneskog in the middle of the top here, he's put together a very competent board that basically support us on a daily basis. The top line, 3 people, has been into the wind industry for over 10 years, developing products successfully. And then the last year and a half, Otto has added also some really critical and valuable people into the board. Christopher, you met earlier during the panel. Saira has a background both from ABB and from Sweco, and now in the Vattenfall eldistribution management team. And Göran Hult, a long background in Fortum, both in nuclear, hydro, and R&D. Tremendous asset when it comes to understanding the energy market. So, what's the plan? It's really simple. I already mentioned Åland. That's our first priority. We need to get that product up and running and prove our concept. We're also continuing to work the work we're ongoing with Pyhäjärvi to see that that pilot comes through and see how we can make that a commercial installation. And then, of course, we need to build the team. What I didn't mention earlier is that we also, of course, in addition to the people we had in the company and in the board, also team up with partners in various expert areas to make sure we are not limiting the progress of our plans, because we're quite ambitious. And in addition to those 2 products that I mentioned, we're also developing the portfolio, because we believe in time to market. It's a very classic expression. But in this case, so far, we don't really see any competition. So the key for us is to really make sure that we are in the screening process taking care of the best sites around the world when it comes to mines and market opportunities. By that, I hope that we have been able to interest you in being part of the journey, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please join me. We have some questions from the app. How many projects will you have in 3 years? You're starting out with Åland now. And where will they be located, the other second?
I would say in 3 years we have between 5 and 10 projects. Of course, they are in different phases, because we're talking a product development company, but at least 5 to 10 projects. And we've said we start off in the neighborhood, like the Nordic countries, but we also see that Germany, UK, US, Australia are interesting countries. But this is something we will need to explore going further. I actually also got some good ideas about Chile here earlier during lunchtime.
A lot of abandoned mines in Chile.
It actually is, yeah, that's right. A lot of copper mines and a fairly stable political situation, plus a good energy market and also well-functioning balancing markets.
Thank you. Another question. How is your response time compared to traditional hydropower, and how does it fit into the future market?
Good question.
Yeah, this is one of the common questions we get. And let's say like this, we have the opportunity to design a system and specify equipment based on what we want and need today. So, and there is not a lack of system and equipment that can actually accomplish these fast responses. So for us, it will not be a problem. But if you compare to some hydropower plant still in operation 60 years after commissioning, of course, they don't have the same features.
Obviously. Since your technology isn't new, could it not be easily copied once the concept is proven?
That's also a good question that we meet frequently.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the technology is there. We know the market better, hopefully, than anybody of our potential competitors. Also, we have a scaling plan. We have a pipeline.
And developing products like this is not easy. All of those of you that has been in this kind of business know. So there's a lot more IP into just being good in the process and all the different steps around that. So I think by being fast and being agile, we will also be successful.
Presently, do you have any competitors who are breathing down your neck?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, and I think also the need for energy storage is so big. So I don't consider really anybody trying to solve this problem as a competitor. Actually,
You stopped counting at 500,000 mines.
Yeah.
So I guess there is room.
And look, Bloomberg has predicted the investments in storage to $620 billion by 2040. That is equivalent to about 52,000 pumped hydro plants. So, which is
52,000.
Yeah.
Another question: what is the efficiency of the system? Could you sort of explain that in more detail than you did already?
I think it's a rough number is good and it's fairly accurate, like you said, 77%.
Yeah.
And of course, there's an optimization of this, but it's conventional equipment, so between 70 and 80 is a safe range.
Thank you. Let's take one more question. What is the energy storage potential for one of your facilities? We looked at the mine in Finland. That was humongous.
Yeah. And this is the beauty of it, because we designed the equipment, the turbines, generators, all of that stuff for a certain megawatt range. That's power. But then the size of the energy storage, that's how wide and how big we make the reservoirs. So there's really no limitation.
And they could be open, like in the Finnish mine, or they could be completely underground.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Any questions from the audience present in the room? All right. Well, thank you very much for your duet, your presentation. That was lovely. Thank you.
Thank
Best
you.
of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.